Hello and welcome to Extra Innings on National Sports Radio. Unfortunately, we are not able to bring you a live show tonight as there is currently a show going on National Sports Radio. So we will get out a show. You just won't be able to listen to it live. You'll have to listen to it after the fact once we finish this and get it uploaded to Spreaker.com. That being said, there's been a busy couple weeks of baseball. We weren't able to bring you a show last week, thus maybe the need for one this week. It is September. Pennant races are heating up. October baseball is right around the corner with a little less than a month left to play in the season. And we've got lots to get to, including the very last edition of the Prospect Roundup. All the minor leagues ended their regular season yesterday, as is tradition in the minor leagues, ending on Labor Day weekend. That is when the minor league seasons come to an end, so thus tonight will be the last edition of the Prospect Roundup for the 2018 MLB season. We've also got lots of MLB trades to get to. The waiver trade deadline was August 31st. Lots of teams making moves to add depth to their team as we enter the final stretch of games. So I will begin today's show with the Prospect Roundup presented by the FireFan app. The final edition begins with Dodgers outfielder DJ Peters playing for Double-A Tulsa. He went 2 for 3 with a home run, 2 RBIs, 2 runs, and he walked once for the Drillers last night. He's the number 8 ranked prospect in the Los Angeles Dodgers organization. Again, that's DJ Peters for Double-A Tulsa. Our next player is also a member of the Tulsa Drillers. This one is a pitcher who started yesterday for the Drillers. Mitchell White tossed 6 scoreless innings, walking nobody and striking out 4. Well, the last guy we mentioned was the number 8 prospect for the Dodgers. This is the number 7 prospect in the Los Angeles Dodgers organization. Mitchell White for the Double-A Tulsa Drillers concluded their season yesterday by tossing 6 shutout frames for the Drillers, the Double-A affiliate of the Los Angeles Dodgers. We now move to the Chicago Cubs organization, where outfielder Nelson Velasquez, playing for short season Single-A Eugene, went 2 for 5 with 2 home runs and 2 RBIs. He also scored 2 runs on the day. He's the number 21 rated prospect in the Chicago Cubs organization. Again, that's Nelson Velasquez playing for Single-A Eugene. Another pitcher on the list, and our last player for the Prospect Roundup 2018 is Ranger Suarez. No, he does not play for the Texas Rangers. Sadly, the name might fit. He does, however, play for the AAA Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, the AAA affiliate of the Philadelphia Phillies. He tossed 6 innings, only allowing 4 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, as Van drops things on the floor. Yes. Getting back to Suarez, 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. He threw 64 pitches. Of the 64, 47 of them were strikes. He's the number 8 rated prospect in the Philadelphia Phillies organization. Again, that's Ranger Suarez playing for AAA Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. And with that, that will conclude the prospect roundup presented by the Fire Fan app for the 2018 season. Van, you have
I think next week, instead of the prospect roundup, maybe we just give them the playoff
roundup. We could do that.
Just the teams, and
I like that idea. So not the prospect roundup, maybe the minor league roundup.
Yes.
Change the title a little bit.
Yes.
So this will in effect be the last prospect roundup of 2018 presented by the Fire Fan app. Be sure to download the Fire Fan app on your iPhone or Android device today. And with that, we move to lots of trades that could impact pennant races. Van has all of that and more.
Yes, a very interesting year in terms of trade past the first trade deadline. I think this may be one of the most influential years. Last year, of course, we saw Justin Verlander traded on the 31st, which was maybe one of the most important moves for the Astros. This year, I think, it's early to say, but I think there are some moves that could live up to that potential. We are going to start with the Philadelphia Phillies, who acquired veteran outfielder Jose Bautista from the New York Mets.
So he's now played for 3 teams in the NL East this year.
Yes, he has.
You had to think about that one for a second.
I did think about that one. But Jose Bautista with his 3rd stop in the NL East this year. His 3rd different team this year, which is always very interesting. Our next acquisition on the list comes from Los Angeles. The Los Angeles Dodgers acquired relief pitcher Ryan Madson, who I think can really help out the Dodgers bullpen. There are some bigger names. I would argue every single other name on my list is a bigger name, but I don't know if any of them will have quite the impact that Ryan Madson will have, just because of the current situation of the Dodgers bullpen. Kenley Jansen, with his heartbeat, has been injured, missed some time. He's back now, but there are some questions and concerns looming about the bullpen for the Dodgers, especially late in games. A guy like Ryan Madson could really come and shore up the bullpen and maybe give the Dodgers that extra boost that they need to win the National League. The Dodgers, however, weren't the only National League team making moves. The Brewers also acquired Nationals pitcher Gio Gonzalez and outfielder Curtis Granderson. The Brewers currently sit 4 games back in the NL Central, really looking to chase down the Chicago Cubs. They're currently in a series with them right now as they won the last game. Actually, last night's game. And tonight, the Brewers are also winning by a score of 11-1. I will check and see if Curtis Granderson is in the lineup right now. Curtis Granderson is not in the lineup, but when you think about it, the Brewers have 2 outfielders that were all-stars this year, and a guy by the name of Ryan Braun. So they have a really good outfield. The Astros may have the most depth among position players in all of baseball.
That's a very valid statement, I think. You could make that argument for sure.
Yes, the acquisition of Gio Gonzalez definitely helps add depth to a starting rotation, which has always been the concern for the Brewers. At least from my opinion, that starting pitching has been the weak link, I guess, if you could say that. The bullpen is already very solid, but Gio Gonzalez adds a veteran arm to some of the younger arms and some depth where the depth was very much needed for the Brewers. And I saved the last two trades for last because they involve perennial MVP candidates in their respective leagues. The Yankees acquired Andrew McCutchen from the San Francisco Giants, which was a huge move for the Yankees. And McCutchen, a former MVP, always in contention for MVP, a down year last year, a bit of a down year this year, but still can certainly help out a ball club, especially like the New York Yankees in the pennant chase. Currently on the New York Yankees depth chart, Andrew McCutchen is the backup center fielder. So when you take a guy that has the production of McCutchen and he's coming off the bench, that'll scare the bullpen a little when you know you have to be prepared for McCutchen off the bench at any time or as a defensive replacement at any time. Especially with... Actually, Andrew McCutchen is the starting center fielder, but I do not know how long that will last because Aaron Judge will be back soon. So for right now, Andrew McCutchen is starting. But when Judge comes back, Andrew McCutchen will be the backup center fielder. So that's probably the role he'll play in the playoffs. But that is pretty scary. I don't know if they'll consider moving him to left field instead of Brett Gardner, but pretty equal production from both those players. I would doubt it just because Brett Gardner provides a speed at the top of the order, a leadoff hitter. You can get up first, steal second base, and then you're in scoring position for the guys in the middle of that order, the Judge, the Stanton, Didi Gregorius, guys that can provide power and drive him in, that I think McCutchen doesn't necessarily provide. McCutchen has dealt with some injuries in recent years. So I see McCutchen as a better pinch hitter late in games. Yeah, right, if I'm a relief pitcher for whoever the Yankees are playing, I don't want to see McCutchen come off the bench in the ninth inning of a tie game. Yes, pretty scary stuff if you're facing that Yankees lineup. But the other interesting move was one made by the Cleveland Indians, who acquired Josh Donaldson from the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, Josh Donaldson, 2 days into his Indians career, I guess, was placed on the 10-day disabled list. I don't think he'll be out for very long. I think he should be back in time for the playoffs. He's yet to make his Indians debut, actually. But my question is, where do you play Josh Donaldson?
You can DH in the American League.
Really?
Well, they have Edwin Encarnacion.
So this may be where the Indians get a little creative and put a guy like Jason Kipnis.
Wait, Jose Ramirez is at least on the depth chart. They're starting third baseman and they're starting second baseman.
Yes, he is. That is a little weird. Which leads
Why don't they play Jason Kipnis? What's wrong with Jason Kipnis?
I do not know what is wrong with Jason Kipnis. I actually would assume he actually would play right now because Jose Ramirez is still at third base because Josh Donaldson is on the DL. But Jason Kipnis has had a down year, hitting .228, only 14 home runs, considering the average is kind of good, but not at the average numbers of Jason Kipnis' career, and it's certainly got enough power for a second baseman, but I think you could get, if you want Jason Kipnis' bat in the lineup, which I don't know why you would the way he's played this year, but he's a guy you could maybe move to the outfield or maybe even a first base every now and again just to get some playing time. What do you think? Do you think Jose Ramirez will be the second baseman in the playoffs?
Jose Ramirez?
Yes.
Why wouldn't he play third?
Because Josh Donaldson would play third.
No, Josh Donaldson has played actually a lot of different positions this year for the Blue Jays, including second base. And he has that, or at least he did at the beginning of the year. Like, I think it's dead arm. He literally couldn't throw the ball to first base. So they had him DH, and then when he came back, he's kind of played all over the diamond. He's played some second base. He's played some first base. So I don't think you would move Jose Ramirez from the hot corners, keep him at third, and put Josh Donaldson at second.
Yes, that is an interesting take on it, because I would say Jose Ramirez is better suited to play second base than Josh Donaldson is, and I would have Josh Donaldson play third base and Jose Ramirez at second base. But either way, you're looking at a good lineup for the Cleveland Indians. The American League has, I would say, the majority of its power concentrated into the four main contenders in the league, which kind of is scary considering how good a lot of the teams are. That didn't really make sense, but considering how good they are. In the National League, it's a tale of two leagues. National League, a league where no one has really yet to define themselves as the true number one or the true contender. But then in the American League, you have four teams that are all clearly, I would say all clearly might be the best in the National League. I'm not going to give too much of my prediction because that's another episode for another day, but the American League has four teams that I believe are really good, and they have a lot of good players.
See, I don't put the Indians in that really good category, only because they play in the weakest division and don't have that great of a record for playing in the worst division. Because I look at the Astros, obviously they won the World Series this year and only got better in the offseason.
Won the World Series last year. You said this year. Go on.
That's what I said, they won the World Series last year.
You said this year.
No, I didn't. And then you've got the Yankees and the Red Sox, who both of them, it's absurd that one of them is going to play in a one-game wild card. Probably the Yankees, I don't see them coming back from the, 8 games, 9 games, however many they're back. The Red Sox have a chance to set the all-time wins record in a regular season. And the Yankees, with the bullpen and the offense they have, could, I think, beat any team in a 7-game series, or a 5-game series for that matter, in the case of the ALDS. And the Indians, to me, don't seem like they're on that level. They're definitely the best of the second-tier teams in the the American League, but they don't seem to be on that elite level with the Yankees, Red Sox, and Astros. I don't see them coming out of the American League. I think it's going to be any of the Yankees, Red Sox, or Astros.
I could really easily see the Indians coming out of the American League. I could see any of the top 4 teams. Because I think when you're talking about tiers, you put them on the second tier. I think they're a tier ahead of the teams like the A's and the Mariners.
Are they really? The A's have played incredible baseball.
Yes, I think they have more talent. I think they're better.
They might have more talent, but so far this year they haven't performed that much better. Significantly better to put them in that elite tier of teams.
I think you can.
Right, because you look at the division the A's are in, they got to play the Mariners, they got to play the Astros. And then you look at the division that the Indians are in, their biggest competition is the Minnesota Twins, who's been hovering around 500 all year. And the Indians, they ran away with the division, but if you look at their record in comparison to the other 3 teams that you said were elite, it doesn't match up to me.
I just look at it from a baseball perspective. The talent that they have assembled into one roster, I think, is equal to or greater than maybe the Yankees, Red Sox.
No, it's not. We're into September now. There's no more guessing who's a contender and who's a pretender. Don't you think if they were at that elite level, they would have gone on a win streak like that and really run away with the AL Central?
I would argue that they have, right?
No, they have, but imagine if they had the Yankees record or the Red Sox record. Don't you think if you're saying talent-wise they're just as good, wouldn't they be close to that?
I don't know. I think injuries play a big factor into it, and they haven't been healthy.
That's a good point. Something that I didn't exactly...
Not that the Yankees or the Astros have been healthy either, but Boston's been fairly healthy.
Yeah, Boston definitely has escaped the injury bug compared to other teams. The Astros actually in recent months have. Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa have each spent time on the DL. They're 2 big pieces up the middle, obviously.
Yes, that is interesting. Do you want to take a guess on it? How many teams have been eliminated in the National League?
3.
In the National League, no.
Higher or lower?
Lower.
0.
Correct. 0 teams have been eliminated in the National League. And would you like to take a guess at the American League?
So there's still hope for the Padres?
Yes, there is still hope for the Padres.
Wow.
And would you like to take a guess about the American League? I'll give you a hint. You already said that number.
3.
Yes. The Blue
Wait, the Marlins are also still in?
The Marlins are still in contention. The Reds are also still in contention for maybe tonight, 2 more days, maybe. But
Well then.
The Orioles, the Blue Jays, and the Texas Rangers. Actually, sorry, you were wrong. There's 4. I forgot about the Kansas City Royals.
Have all already been eliminated?
Yes.
That's too bad.
It is too bad.
But it also shows how much better the top teams in the American League are.
Yes. Back to my point earlier. Right, how the Yankees and Red Sox have assembled these superstar rosters.
Yes, you did make that point.
Close to the Warriors of basketball.
But that will
if the National League didn't exist, and if baseball wasn't such a confusing and complex game...
Right, but that's the reason that we love baseball, because you don't know who's going to win. Because to your point, your Cleveland Indians could win the American League. Despite,
they have to get hot for
despite not,
a month.
Yeah.
And none of us would see it come. I mean, I might see it.
You apparently see it coming. I don't, though. I will be shocked if they make it out of the American League this year. They'd have to beat the Astros, and then they'd have to beat either the Yankees or the Red Sox or the A's.
Yes.
Do you think they can beat the Red Sox in a 7-game series?
No. Let's not get into predictions now.
You're right. It's way too early.
Yes, we have to save those for...
When the postseason field is actually set.
Yes.
Set in stone.
Yes, but that is what we have to look forward to, I guess. So, with that, is there anything else you'd like to discuss?
I do not think so.
The first place, Colorado Rockies.
The first place, Colorado Rockies. Did you know the Colorado Rockies are the first team in MLB history to have 4 players on their roster that have won the batting title with that team? Do you know which 4 Colorado Rockies there are? They are?
DJ LeMahieu, Charlie Blackmon, Matt Holliday, Carlos Gonzalez?
Yep, that's
all right,
correct.
Perfect.
And Matt Holliday is actually hitting the best out of all of them right now.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff going down in Colorado. You talk about
who would have thought
the Rockies team, the weakness is their offense.
Yes. That is very true.
I would argue even more so than the bullpen. You could definitely make that argument.
You could definitely make that argument if Brian Shaw
And the bullpen
did.
has been really bad.
Yes.
Probably bottom 5 in baseball, bottom 10. For sure, I could say.
Oh, bottom 3, bottom 2. If you look at least ERA-wise, some other numbers. Blown saves.
And then, I
think they're 29th in baseball.
Yeah, I don't know if
Or would that be second? They've blown the second most saves.
Yeah. And I don't know if the Rockies' offense is statistically that bad, but recent performances lead you to be a little leery of the team performing.
Not yesterday, though. Not the day before.
Yeah, not the past 2 days. The offense
And actually, not tonight. What do we have, 7 runs right now?
Yes, 7 runs. So the offense has awoken, and, well, you see what happens. They're in first place when the offense performs.
Yes.
Just going to throw that out there, but it's Coors Field, so the Rockies will hit sometime, right?
You just knew they would hit.
Maybe. Maybe not.
You've been waiting since March for them to hit.
Yeah, it's really true.
You've been sitting a lot. Just waiting.
Sitting in this exact spot.
Yeah.
That will do it.
Yes. On that note,
Yes.
we will conclude this edition of Extra Innings on National Sports Radio. We would like to thank you for listening whenever and however you have tuned us in tonight. Actually, not tonight. None of you are listening to it live, unfortunately. But I'm sure you will all listen to it at some point, and we would like to thank you for that. And have a good night. We will see you next week for the regularly scheduled, hopefully live edition of Extra Innings on National Sports Radio.